Hello, everybody. My name is Rick McCutcheon. I'm a Dynamics 365 MVP, and I'm here today on this MS Dynamics World DBSync case study presentation, Power Apps integration to Shopify and QuickBooks. So let's jump right into it. And I've got a couple of great panelists today working with me. So Steve, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Sure. My name is Steve Mordew. I'm CEO of ForceWorks, and we have an ISV product out there, Power App called RapidStart CRM, with over 100,000 users. And I'm eager to talk to people about how that works with DBSync.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And for our audience, Steve is also an MVP and an expert on putting Power Apps into the field. So, Connor, introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about DBSync.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. So my name's Connor Evans. I head up the Microsoft Dynamics division for DBSync and have been doing so for about 9 years now. DBSync is one of the leaders in the integration platform as a service space. We play in the Dynamics integration space with a lot of different integrations we offer between various applications and databases, as well as the CRM, ERP, and third-party application space.
Okay, and our session today, we're going to talk about who is DBSync, DBSync's products, services, common use cases, and position in the marketplace. We'll talk a lot about RapidStart CRM and then how DBSync worked with RapidStart to quickly build out 2 integration templates for their clients. So let's go a little deeper into DBSync, Connor.
Yeah, absolutely. So as mentioned, Rick, we've been in the space for a little while, since 2009, actually. We're a preferred ISV solution for Dynamics 365 integrations to things like accounting integrations with QuickBooks, both desktop and online, as well as e-commerce solutions like Shopify, WooCommerce, and more. Now, what we've done is really interesting because with the common use cases that we get for integration, we've actually templatized these so that they're easy to use with out-of-the-box, no-code integrations, very quick, just a couple of clicks to connect to your different endpoints, and you're up and running for most of the common scenarios that we tend to encounter. Now, we've been recognized by the likes of Gartner and Forrester, G2 Crowd, and Capterra as well. And we've got over 800 customers globally. And that looks like a number of different things for different folks. So we tend to work with everyone from SMB all the way up to enterprise across a variety of industries: banking, financial institutions, healthcare, e-commerce, retail, manufacturing, you name it. And what's cool about that is DBSync as a platform gets to be adopted and adapted for these various use cases and business processes that we encounter. So not only do we have those very easy to use integration templates, but we have the ability to customize our integrations with no code so that they can adapt to any type of workflow that's needed within a business process. And what you see there on the right is a pretty good illustration of how DBSync is really central to connecting these platforms that don't have native ways to communicate with each other. And again, that varies from the ERP side to the third-party application side for things like warehousing and manufacturing, to the ERP side, to the CRM side, to all of the major databases.
Okay, and you can pretty much connect anything or any one of the Dynamics 365 products, including VP, NAV, BC, and F&O?
Correct. Yeah. So if you look up there, you can see we do connect to all the legacy systems like NAV, GP, CRM. Believe it or not, we do still get asked about doing legacy CRM integrations, as well as all of the Dynamics 365 applications that are currently offered. So things like CE, sales, project operations, and then of course the ERPs like Business Central, finance, and operations as well.
Okay, that's great. So it really gives an organization the ability to, connect their Dynamics infrastructure or Power Platform infrastructure without a programmer.
Yeah, absolutely. No code platform.
Okay, great. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about product services and some of the use cases.
Yeah, so within Power Platform and the dynamic space, a lot of the common integrations that come to us are things like accounting integrations with non-dynamic software, so things like QuickBooks, Sage Intacct, NetSuite. But even within there, we do get application requests for integration between Dynamic CE and Business Central. Maybe folks need to expand on the integrations that are natively offered. Maybe they're not quite filling some of the requirements that they need. And what's great about our platform is it has complexity built into it where even with no code, we can go ahead and start adding things in like formulas. We can change the data, we can massage the data, we can reformat it. So that comes into handy when you're working with these disparate databases that might not necessarily play nice to each other if you're just doing a one-to-one workflow with like some of those other tools out there. Uh, Other applications that we see are folks, leveraging our platform to move data into databases so they can do, better BI and analytics using different tools of their choice. Uh, the CRM use case comes up a lot where a lot of the times we're connecting Power Platform or a Dynamics ERP to a different CRM. Some folks use tools like HubSpot for marketing. Some folks use Salesforce still, and so we're able to allow these different companies and organizations use these tools that otherwise would keep their data housed in different silos, and they wouldn't have that centralized integrity behind the data that they're using on a day-to-day basis.
And it looks like this can be really helpful in a couple of use cases, I think, where people are migrating from on-premise to the cloud as
Oh
they're
yeah.
not moving everything across. And we know most organizations have non-Microsoft applications sitting out there that, need to be brought in. So I think this really opens up a lot of options for organizations.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about where people can find out more about you in the different marketplaces.
Yeah, so of course we're listed on AppSource. We've got a few different applications on AppSource. So integration listings for things like our Dynamics and QuickBooks integration, which has an out-of-the-box template that meets, I'd say, about 80% of the needs that folks come to us for. Of course, always customizable, even if they're using custom objects and things of that nature. We have a Shopify and Dynamics listing, and again, we're a preferred solution for that. We have a PCC and Dynamics integration, and that's for folks who operate within the healthcare space. And then G2 Crowd, you can see we've got very good ratings there as well. You can go ahead and read about our platform on that review side as well. Capterra were featured as well. 74 reviews you can see there. So even if you're going to some of the other marketplaces for some of these other applications we won't name, you'll see upwards of 500 plus reviews on some of these different marketplaces for us, and it really speaks to the maturity of the product and the platform. We specialize in integration, and we've been doing this for about 15 years now.
Okay, great. And I think, this is really helpful to organizations that, want to find out more about a company and, want to kind of build trust with you. We can go out there and we can see the reviews and see what other users are saying about the way they use your product.
Absolutely.
So let's go over to Steve now and let's talk about, I'm guessing, the most successful Power App on AppSource today, RapidStart CRM.
Yeah, it definitely is. We launched this product back in 2015 as a add-on to Dynamics because Dynamics for a lot of people is just too complicated. The biggest challenge we've always heard about CRM systems is user adoption, and part of the reason that's so difficult is because they're just so complicated to use. And we saw an opportunity to build a solution that would sit on top of Dynamics and essentially just hide all the complexity, boil it down to what a user needs to do to get their stuff done. And we had a lot of success with that motion, and we were starting to solve this user adoption challenge. And when Microsoft separated their first party apps and created the Power Platform on top of Dataverse underneath it, we saw an opportunity just to move off of Dynamics and down on the platform, which gave us the ability to provide that same easy to use CRM experience at a much lower cost because we were no longer sitting on top of the Dynamics licenses. our goal was to build something that not only was simple to use, but that people could customize if they have some basic skills using no code. And one of the things that has always come up, it's been a top ask of customers throughout the years, has been integrations. And then you start talking about, okay, well, we'll need to get the API information and we need to get the developers to look at it. And suddenly it just kind of got outside of the goal of Rapid Start, which was let's have something simple to use. Let's have something that, was low code ability. And I had been aware of DBSync for some time, but frankly, too much on my plate to do a deeper investigation. Um, but once I did have some time and took a look, I realized these guys are on the same path we are. They're solving a common problem of lots of customers is, I love your CRM, it's great, but I've got this data sitting out here in Shopify, or I've got this data sitting out here in QuickBooks, and is there a way to put these things together? And of course, there's always been a way, but these guys just created a simple way to do it with low code, which is right in the wheelhouse of our user base. So I was really happy to work with them together to get their application working just the way it's supposed to with RapidStart. Because RapidStart runs on Dataverse just like Dynamics, but it's a little different than Dynamics, so it took a little bit of tweaking, and they were happy to do that. And we're suggesting this to all of our customers that are wanting to do any kind of integration eventually, not just these templates that we started with, but couldn't be happier.
And we were talking recently. You can use RapidStart right out of the box, but there's also a new version of RapidStart that you can build out your customizations on.
Yeah, RapidStart has always been a free app, and we still have a RapidStart free app out there. It's available in App Stores. Anybody can install it. Customers, partners. There's over 100,000 users of that app, and that's an old number. I have no idea how many there are now. And people use it from all different industries. There's no specific. We've got large businesses, small businesses, all kinds of businesses have used that. And for low cost, I'll tell you, it's $5 a user. You can upgrade RapidStart to where it's completely customizable, which in transparency you would need to do for this integration also for add-ons. But $5, I mean, we're talking about a small amount of money. And the primary reason for that was that we've got a support organization that we've had to build here to support a free app, which is challenging. And where it became an issue was as soon as customers were able to start customizing is when support issues came in, because a lot of customers really didn't know what they were doing. So this was what led us to say, you know what, let's take the free version. It's not customizable. It won't cause us any challenges. But if someone wants to customize, they'll pay a small amount, which really just allows us to fund the support organization for that.
And at the end of the day, they're probably going to save 50 to 90% of their licensing costs for their CRM.
Yes, and I would say 90% of the customers won't see any difference in what they actually use day to day. They're creating opportunities, they're creating cases, they're tracking accounts and contacts. This is the bread and butter of CRM systems. Now being able to use DBSync to integrate data from other sources into that. I mean, that's 90% of what people do with CRM systems. But Dynamics, Salesforce, they've got a lot of other fluff, if you will, on top. Some people use that, some don't. But for most people, they just want something simple. And that is not something that's been associated with CRM systems ever. It is simple to use. And our churn is almost zero. People start with a product, they don't leave it. Nobody has been asking about wanting to move from RapidStart up to Dynamics. They've built their custom solution that fixes their business problems and works for them. They don't ever leave. Why would they want to pay so much more money and start over and have this super complex go right back into this lack of adoption challenge that's always been an issue? I mean, I think we've completely solved the lack of adoption challenge with this product.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about this project, RapidStart CRM to QuickBooks and Shopify.
Yeah. So when we started talking with Steve, Steve had mentioned, wanting to be able to offer some of the common integrations to the folks that are using RapidStart. And after we discussed it for a little while, we decided, there's probably the most overlap with QuickBooks users and Shopify users. Those tend to be, on the dynamic side, dynamic CE customers. So it made sense that they might, have some overlap with the RapidStart folks as well. So what we did is work with them to decide on, okay, what are these fields that make the most sense for integration? What direction should this integration be going in? How should the data be moving? And then from there, we decided to go ahead and build out a template.
Okay, great.
QuickBooks is far and away the biggest ask in the U.S. particular. Probably half of our customers in the U.S. are QuickBooks users. And I really am looking forward to being able to send all those folks a link to this webinar, because I don't know if they're all enough aware of what can be done to bring that QuickBooks data right inside of RapidStart for their sales or service teams. And, as Connor said, when you think about the use case of a seller or a service person, the QuickBooks data they need, which I don't want to scare the accounting people, we're really looking at just bringing some QuickBooks data into RapidStart in front of your sales team. So, for example, a seller could see that, hey, I'm going to call this guy and sell him something. Oh, wait a minute, he has a past due balance. Or get an idea of the purchase history of this person right in the record, right inside of RapidStart before I call him, see the kind of things he's bought, know what other cross-sell opportunity there might be, or just this kind of informational stuff the seller would want. And the same thing on the service side, just informational stuff that somebody who's dealing with cases could utilize from ERP system, but not really going to the level of pushing data from your crazy salesperson into your ERP. It's your system of financial record. You don't want anybody just sticking their fingers in there. So it was really designed to aid sellers and aid service people with that data.
And Connor, let's talk a little bit about, once we have RapidStart hooked up to DBSync, it opens up, the gates to a lot of other applications as well.
Oh yeah, Rick. So really good point there. One of the things about DBSync is once we build a connector to something, that application now has the ability to tap into any other application that we've already built a connector for. So that includes everything you're seeing here, and then even more. I mean, we're constantly adding to our roadmap. We're constantly building out new connectors, and we do so based on the demand of our customers. So if there's a need in the marketplace, we're ready and able and happy to address it. With us, building out a new connector, we've got this down to the point where we're doing this in 2 to 4 weeks for a completely new integration. And that's something we take a lot of pride in. So yeah, a lot of folks will reach out to us and go, hey, can you do system XYZ? And it's like, well, yeah, we can, as long as there's an open API and a backend database, or one of the two that we can tap into.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about this project.
Yeah, so with this project, and the example you're seeing on the screen there is an example of some of the workflows from RapidStart Plus into QuickBooks Online. But really working with RapidStart, again, we decided to build out those common use cases for integration. So when we're talking about CRM and accounting integration, one of the most common requests is, well, can we get this opportunity into an invoice so that when it's ready to be, generated for accounting, they don't have to key in the same exact information that they've already spent, 20 minutes keying in on the sales side for CRM, right? So a lot of the times that involves doing things like creating accounts if the accounts don't exist in the corresponding system, creating the invoice if the invoice doesn't exist, along with the line items. In RapidStart, the opportunities are single line items, but they have a total on the invoice. So for us, it was working with them to figure out the best formatting for bringing that into the accounting system, right? So yeah, we like to, work with each individual use case and then basically build out the workflows and templatize those for, again, those most common customer scenarios.
Okay, great.
I think it would be interesting also to to clarify the difference between your connectors and Power Automate connectors, because lots of customers' first thought is, well, there's a Power Automate connector for this solution. And what you learn in the Power Automate connector space is that third-party vendors have built a connector and stuck it up there for people to use that might connect to Shopify or what have you. But when you dive into it, it has like one trigger and two actions. It just doesn't, and it's fixed. This is what this connector does. When this happens, it can do this or that, which doesn't really work for anybody other than kind of a proof of concept. So, the difference with your connectors, if you will, it'd be nice if you had a different term than what they're using, because yours are completely different. I mean, anything can be a trigger, anything can be an action. I mean, it's an integration. It's not just this little if this then that type of emotion. So it's a huge difference between a DBSync connector and a Power Apps connector for anybody thinking about that.
And Steve,
1000% right. Yeah.
Steve, why don't we talk a little bit about getting a programmer to write a connector compared to DBSync?
Yeah, well, I mean, if a connector doesn't exist, which is, we've had customers in the past with systems looking for an integration, we got to get the development team involved to look at the API and what we're going to be connecting to. And then we're either going to build a custom code connection through that API, which again is fixed. It's not a template. It's going to do what it does, nothing more, nothing less. And to make it do something different will require some more development. Or possibly we'll take that and let's build a custom connector instead. But that's really just a wrapper around the same thing that makes it a little easier for a customer to use the connector, but it's still kind of fixed. It doesn't have the flexibility that this solution brings to customers to be able to, have anything trigger, have anything, any action pass. I mean, it's a difference between just a true integration versus, like I say, just an if this, then that kind of a thing.
Okay, great. So let's talk about what this integration looks like with RapidStart.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the example we're talking about right now, we've got RapidStart CRM Plus and we've got QuickBooks Online here. And what you can see is on the left-hand side, a RapidStart opportunity. So on the yellow, you're seeing the account, that yellow box that's highlighted right there. On the right-hand side, you're seeing the corresponding account getting created into QuickBooks Online. On the left-hand side, we're taking that opportunity description because, again, RapidStart really simplifies the CRM process in an easy-to-use way. So they have this description that we're then bringing over into the product itself. And we're creating the product based off of the opportunity amount, which in this case is $10,000. And that's that blue box right there. And then finally, one of the things that we do when we do these integrations is tie together the different endpoints with unique identifiers. So in the case of QuickBooks Online, we're using their actual unique ID for the transaction. And you can see that coming into that integration ID. So we're carrying that back from QuickBooks into RapidStart and generating a source of truth to tie these two records together. So in the future, if you want to make changes and updates, we can have those reflected in the corresponding system. And part of what we do as well is add a few different fields there. So you'll see what we have is sync this record in that black box there. So when you select yes, that can act as the trigger for carrying over the opportunity into QuickBooks. It says no right now because the integration is already run. And you see that reflected in the integration status right below that shows invoice created. So yeah, there's a number of things we can do with this. Again, this is just a template that we've built, but it's fully customizable and flexible and in a no-code platform scenario.
Okay, thank you. So let's look at some of the results of this project.
Yeah, so as mentioned, our time to deployment is incredibly quick at this stage, especially when operating within the Power Platform because we've already built out the connector for it. So it's a matter of mapping the corresponding fields with the appropriate environment that we're operating in. And within 2 weeks, we were able to get the RapidStart CRM Plus integration, both with QuickBooks and with Shopify. So that could be deployed to their clients, again, with out-of-the-box functionality, All you have to do is log into your DBSync account, click here to connect to Dynamics, to RapidStart CRM Plus, and then click here to connect to QuickBooks Online, and you're good to go. So it's a very quick, easy, painless process to get these integrations up and running. And one of the things we did with Steve is, work with him to find a customized price point solution that would work with his clients. Because again, these are not Dynamics customers. These are folks who are, initially looking for a free or freemium CRM option on the marketplace. So we are very good about strategically working with our partners to find ways to make the relationship make sense for their customers as well.
So Steve, if there's another ISV out there who wants to connect to RapidStart, we can either write an application or they just have to provide Connor with an API and they'll be connected to RapidStart.
I mean, he's kind of gone through the steps now between RapidStart and QuickBooks and Shopify. So they know the path. If you've got another solution out there you'd like to be able to integrate with RapidStart, reach out to Connor, and sounds like in a couple of weeks or so they could have you wired up.
Okay, great. And when we talk about, RapidStart, we're talking about Power Apps in general, right? Because you don't have anything that's you've built a lot of IP on top of Power Apps, but it's just a pure Power App that you're using.
It's sophisticated in its simplicity. It's interesting how making something simple to use is not actually easy to do. So there's a lot of stuff going on to make it simple to use, but all the components of RapidStart live within the Power Platform. So there hasn't been anything external brought in or bolted on. It's all Microsoft native capabilities and completely customizable to do anything. A lot of people starting with Power Apps, they'll log in, create an environment, and they don't have anything. This is when they realize that Power Apps is a development platform. It's not an app. There's nothing there. And there's not even a starting point. So for a lot of customers, RapidStart just gives them a starting point. Here you've got something that does something. It does it well. It does it simply. And now build on top of that instead of just landing in this. I got accounts and contacts. There's nothing here. There's no app. There's no nothing. So just kind of give them something to get started.
And, I think somebody who's got some Power Apps experience. So I went out and I took a course. Now I'm a citizen developer and I'm, starting to play around with it. I really want to get something like RapidStart Plus to start me, because that gives me, the structure of my entity, something that I can understand to build off of. Just like you said, out of the box, you don't have that structure. And I think somebody who's just, starting out as a programmer has a lot of difficulty with that.
I mean, it gives you an initial data model that as a technically savvy person, you could certainly analyze and understand and then build customizations, using some of the same techniques that were used to build the app in the first place, because they're there, instead of having to go out and learn it all. I think it depends on how far you want to go. And the skill set is the limiter. I mean, someone who's never touched any of this stuff, isn't very good with their cell phone, is probably going to struggle customizing. And, we've got solutions for helping people do that. And a lot of our customers we work with to help them do that. Or even someone who's pretty tech savvy. Power Platform, at the first level of Power Platform, is very easy. But then as you get into more power and more stuff, it starts getting more complex and people, need some help to get there. But again, it's the same thing working with Dynamics. If you're going to do a customization project on top of Dynamics, you're going to spend time, energy, money to do this customization. At the end of the day, you're still going to be sitting on a $95 a month license. You spend the same amount of energy on RapidStart and you're sitting on a $5 license. So particularly for customers that have plans to build very custom bespoke systems, Dynamics is just a tough pill to swallow.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Connor. This has been a great presentation. So, Connor, tell the folks how they can get a hold of you and get started with RapidStart and DBSync working together.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you'd like to reach out, learn more about, some of the integration offerings that we have, maybe you've got an application built on Power Apps that you'd like integrated with some of the 40 systems that we connect with, you can go ahead and reach out directly. You can see we have our generic sales at MyDBSync email right there, as well as our number and our website. We all have portals, different portals on the website that you can reach out through. You can start a chat however you want to. If you're talking about integrating Power Apps, it's going to come to me. So we'll have a conversation once you do so, and I'm happy to help.
Perfect. Okay, thanks everyone. And I'm sure we'll be back in the near future to talk more about RapidStart CRM and DBSync. Thanks for your time and have a great day.